Wonderful today. My name is Amanda.
I'm Bill Brown with the Recovery Center of Hamilton County in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes, we are a peer support center here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and this is our first webinar. So we're a little nervous and we're trying to get into the groove of things. So just be patient with us if you will. We are going to talk about supporting peers through a pandemic, how technology can make peer support accessible right from home. This is something that we all have been dealing with since this pandemic has been happening since about March now. And so it's something that we've been learning to navigate around as the months have gone on. And we're really trying to work with it, trying to work through it, and do the best that we can to adapt to this new normal, if you will. So we're going to talk to you guys about that. First, we're going to talk about ourselves a little bit. My name is Amanda Stoddard. I'm the Director of Communications here at the Recovery Center. I am a certified peer recovery supporter, and I do have my bachelor's degree in communications.
I'm Bill Brown. I'm the Program Manager at the Recovery Center of Hamilton County. I'm also a certified peer recovery supporter and a facilitator. And I've been with the Recovery Center for about 2.5 years now.
Yeah, I think my year anniversary is coming up soon, actually.
Yep, it is.
That's awesome.
So today, there are several takeaways that we want to make sure that we leave you with. First one, we want to talk a little bit about us, who the Recovery Center of Hamilton County is, what we do, and who we are. We want to talk about different online platforms that you can utilize for peer support, and we're going to let you know why each of them work. And they all have different assets to them, so we'll go over that. We're also going to talk about the impact that peer support can have on the community. And when we talk about community in this respect, we're really talking about the community at large, not just the people who come to our buildings.
All right, so we're gonna tell you a little bit about the Recovery Center and play you a video. So you wanna talk about the Recovery Center a little bit, Ben?
Yeah, Amanda, thank you. So the Recovery Center has been here for, we're going on 15 years. Yeah, it'll be 15 years next spring. And we are a peer-run organization that you all know what that means. We all have a lived experience with mental illness. Our mission is to help people live more meaningful lives in the community in whatever way that looks like for them. So we typically work with people who are a little further along in their recovery. And our goal is to get them back into the community, whether that's working, volunteering, being social in some respects. Our executive director, hi Chris, likes to say that we help people gain back what they've lost to their illness. And I really like that phrase. I think that says very well what we do. We do our mission in two ways. We offer individual peer support, one-on-one, and we also offer classes. We're a curriculum-driven agency. So when we're at normal capacity, which we're not at now, we run about 50 classes a week, and we run those in 10-week terms, and they're classes on anything from recovery tools to art. We do computer classes, anything from how to turn the computer on all the way up through programming. And we do a lot of exercise classes too. We're big on the holistic approach and the wellness approach. So I think we're going to show you a little video here that talks a little bit more about us.
And you might see, oh no, you might see a familiar face.
Hi, I'm Amanda Stoddard, recovery specialist here at the Recovery Center of Hamilton County, and welcome to our YouTube channel. The Recovery Center of Hamilton County is a peer-run organization that helps support individuals overcoming the obstacles and challenges of a mental health and/or substance abuse disorder. As a peer-driven service, we're dedicated to inspiring hope, promoting wellness, and enhancing personal growth by providing services and support that are designed to empower individuals to live more meaningful lives in their community. We created this channel because recovery is not a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week. It is something that occurs 24 hours, 7 days a week, and those in recovery need access to resources that can be available and beneficial to them outside of traditional business hours. The staff at the Recovery Center of Hamilton County serve as role models for their peer community because they demonstrate core competencies such as compassion and empathy, as well as provide hope to others that recovery is possible. Most of our staff and many of our volunteers are certified peer specialists, and they make sure our members are treated with respect, dignity, and the understanding that they deserve while creating a learning environment that is filled with openness and fun. The Recovery Center of Hamilton County has 2 areas of focus: individual peer support and peer-led education through classes on recovery, physical wellness, art, computers, job readiness, GED preparation, personal growth, and support groups. We have proven to be an excellent complementary service to the clinical work that is provided in our community. Because of our success, we want to share what we do with the larger community in the world through our YouTube channel. A few years ago, we had guests travel all the way from Hong Kong to see the work we do. We hope these videos will save you a return trip and help others on their recovery journey. And don't forget to subscribe below for all things Recovery Center of Hamilton County. Thanks for watching.
All right, so that was a little bit about us.
Yeah, that's something about us. I want to let you guys know that we serve between 35 and 45 people a day on a normal day when we have people in the building. And we do have people in the building now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We opened up the building a month and a half ago, maybe, for 1 or 2 days a week. We're slowly building up. So we see probably 120 different individuals during our 10-week term and close to 400 in a calendar year.
All right, so now we're going to talk to you guys about peer support works. We're going to talk specifically about our own personal stories, how peer support has helped Bill, how peer support has helped me, and we're going to be doing it in kind of showing two different sides of the coin of peer support.
Yeah, I really like this because you can tell there's an age difference between
meeting. Let's see what we got.
My experience with peer support, and then Amanda's going to tell you. Don't mind if you are not muted, please mute yourselves. Thank you. So my story really began about 15 years ago. I was working at Fidelity Investments, had a great career, and got sick with my mental illness. I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder 1 and psychosis. And I spent about 10 years banging my head against the wall and not knowing what to do. I got so bad that I isolated, which many of us do, and wouldn't even come out of my house to get the mail. And the mailbox was not very far. So my life changed when I was able to put together a team of clinicians and peer supporters that helped me get to where I am today. And it was the basic concept of peer support, you know, the face-to-face, the one-on-ones, spending time together. And I like to tell people that I love my psychiatrist, but, you know, giving me 20 minutes with a peer sometimes is more effective than what I need than spending an hour with a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So once I came to the Recovery Center, I really got into peer support from the other side. And, you know, when we do our peer support training classes, we talk a lot about helping other people, really helps us as well. And we have 16 certified peer recovery supporters on staff. And to a person, they will all tell you that coming to work is like therapy.
Yeah.
We support each other, we support our members, they support us, and it's a wonderful, wonderful give and take situation. You want to tell a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so I'll go into my story. Obviously, like Bill was saying, and he talked about, you have the in-person peer support, you have the face-to-face, you have the interpersonal interaction between people. But for me, it was a completely different, and which is, I think, for my case and my specific story, it's important for this presentation because a lot of my peer support, because I am of the millennial generation, came from being online. I had the benefit of growing up when technology kind of came into fruition. And I remember having dial-up internet and having to yell at my parents to get off the phone so I could use the computer and vice versa. But I also, you know how to use an iPhone, and I'm able to Skype and do things like that. So when I was going through my biggest, most traumatic moments, I dealt with a lot of childhood trauma and didn't really remember a lot of it until I was about 13 years old and I was in middle school. So luckily for me, that's when technology started to arise. So I just really thought I was going crazy. I thought I was putting things in my own head. I didn't know what was wrong with me and why I just randomly remembered these things out of the blue. And so I did what I could because I didn't have a support system actively around me or interpersonally. I went online and I researched and I talked to people and I joined chat rooms and I read blogs and I did all of these things to kind of advocate for myself and help make sense of what was going on in my mind and what I was going through. And that's something that really saved my life. It was integral to my recovery. A lot of the chat rooms told me, it's important that you go to therapy. It's important that you, convince your parents that this is something that you need, because what you're going through is a normal response and you're not going crazy. And I found a lot of really, really helpful validation, and I really found a light at the end of the tunnel through online peer support and through other people who have gone through, the same things as me. And that's why I think, bringing online peer support is so important, not only during this pandemic where people are, anxious and really going through it, but in general. I think it's an important thing to utilize, because we all have, situations where we can't leave our houses, or our anxiety is too bad, or some of us are homebound and some of the peers that we support are homebound, or, maybe they can't get transportation. So that's why I believe that this is such an important, thing to talk about, even if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, but especially now because we are.
Very true. A little bit about the benefits of peer support.
Bill, occasionally you're muffled. If you make sure you're at the mic.
Thank you. The benefits of peer support. Peer support can lead to increased self-esteem and confidence. It can lead to increased sense of control and the ability to make changes in our lives. And it also can operate empowerment skills. Any other benefits? You get an increased sense of hope and inspiration, increased empathy and acceptance, which we call camaraderie, and increased social support and social functioning. The last three we're going to cover a little bit. Benefits of peer support: decrease psychotic symptoms and depression, reduce hospital admission rates.
Bill, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Can you hear me when I speak?
Yes.
Okay, maybe we'll just move this up a little bit more. There you go. Maybe that'll be, try.
Yep. Okay. How's this? Testing.
Is that better?
In and out.
Martha, you there?
It's going in and out for you, Bill. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
So is this seats?
Want to?
Let's try it.
Musical chairs.
Okay,
That's a whole different view from over here.
it is.
Let me take this.
All right.
Is this better, Martha? Can you hear me now? I'm not sure what's going on with the microphone.
That's better, thanks.
Okay, sure. Should we back up? No? Okay. So the last three benefits of peer support that we're going to talk about: the decreased psychotic symptoms and depression, reduced hospital admission rates and longer community tenure, and decreased substance use.
And then we have, I'm going to lean in just in case. And then we have the benefits of online peer support. These are especially important now during the pandemic and in general. It really helps provide connection for the individuals who are homebound. It provides support when and where the peers need it. And it provides a bit of a routine when struggling through the pandemic. So these are all really, really great things that we can do to help our peers online, especially because they maybe the only thing that they do to get out is go to Kroger or do their cook list.
Amanda, we're having trouble hearing you now.
Okay. I wonder what's going on. Okay. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just each lean into the microphone just to make sure that you guys can hear us. Sorry about this. So it's important to maintain a routine when you're in the middle of a pandemic. It's important to have that support when and where you need it. It's important to, provide connection for those who are homebound for peers and peer support.
So one of the things that's been really...
We can't hear you, Bill.
Nope.
So just lean in.
How's this? Can you hear me now?
Good.
Okay, great. One of the things that I struggle with was creating a new routine in this quote unquote new normal. A routine is so important to so many of us who are dealing with mental health issues. And we've really gone, hopefully, as far as we can, and we'll learn from you guys how to take it even further in being able to help people recreate a routine that's going to work for them. We had one facilitator, I love this guy, he said, you know what, Bill, maybe this pandemic thing is right in our bailiwick because our go-to is isolation. Mm-hmm. We may shine in this situation. And to be fair, when we create routines that work, we have a lot better chance of shining in this situation.
Yes. All right, so we wanted to open up the floor. You guys can use the chat box for this one. How have you guys utilized social media in your field during COVID-19? So just send us some responses in the chat box. Let us know which ways that you guys are utilizing it. And then we're going to continue on, do a little bit of slides, and then we will come back.
So why is offering peer support online so important during these times with COVID-19? Amanda's going to go over a few reasons, and then we're going to go back to the chat box.
Yes. So the impact of COVID-19 on mental health can be very overwhelming, as I'm sure a lot of you have experienced and know from talking to your peers, connecting to your peers, and just probably experiencing yourself. The impacts can include increased depression, anxiety, fear, trauma triggers. Some individuals could be homebound with their abusers. Some individuals are at a higher risk and quarantined in general and in assisted living. So there are positive impacts of providing peer support online because it can help individuals cope through mutual understanding of their problems and everything that we're going through and the struggles that we're dealing with. Those positive impacts include decreased depression, anxiety, fear, and trauma triggers, feeling less alone with the ability to connect to others who feel the same way as them, a way to get a little extra help for those who can't connect to resources because of COVID-19 and its impact on clinical services.
One of the things that we've heard more often in the last 6 months comes from our members who are in congregate homes, who are not even allowed to leave their rooms in some circumstances. And you can imagine how much that starts to weigh on us mentally and emotionally. So we've seen a lot of success in connecting people to the virtual support system who are in congregate homes and in living situations like that.
All right, so now let's go back to the chat and see what people have to say. Let's see. Oh, whoops. Online community of practice. Nice. Okay. Really difficult for us. Looking for work. Zoom, webinars, using multiple Zoom calls to connect with different groups of peers. That's great. Videos on recovery topics, utilizing Zoom, providing a really personalized experience through one. Awesome.
So a lot of you guys are using Zoom and you're using platforms to create videos so that people can access them at any time. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do with our YouTube channel. We talked about the fact that we're a curriculum-driven program, and somebody mentioned RAP, which is a wonderful program. If we do a RAP class or a WAM class, we'll put the full 10 weeks onto YouTube so that someone can start with chapter 1 anytime they want to and go through the entire course.
Yeah, and these slides will be available on the NAPS website after our presentation is done. Just to let you all know that. And go over. All right, so how do we get people involved and interactive with technology? Because let's face it, not everyone will want to get involved. Technology can be very, very overwhelming.
So we've found some ways to encourage peers to connect to our online services. First one is really the mantra that we live by. We meet people where they are. We've been saying that for 15 years, and we've been saying it figuratively, pretty much, because we mean we'll meet you wherever you are in your journey on recovery to recovery. But now we mean it literally. We will meet people wherever they are. We have people connecting from their cars, from their walks in the park, from their homes, clearly. Pretty much seen it all by this point. Number 2, we'll walk people through it, show them it's not so scary and teach them how. And this is not a one-time thing. You may have to do this 4, 5, 6 times, but that's okay because we all learn at our own pace. The third thing that we do to encourage peers to connect to the online services, we show them examples. Amanda put together a wonderful mailer for us with screenshots from our website showing how to access the links, how to download Zoom, how to connect to Facebook Live, YouTube Live, just really a step-by-step instruction manual for how to access the things that we're offering online. And that's not a one-time thing either. That's something that we kind of continue to do. We update the website and we continue to have touch points with people to let them know what's happening and what they can be involved in. The fourth thing that we have done to encourage peers to connect to online services, we've given them various platforms to work with. Not everybody wants to Zoom. Not everybody uses Facebook. We get that. So we're using 3 different platforms to give people, hopefully, something that is going to work for them. The fifth thing that we found is that if we provide people with ways to get connected without a smartphone or a computer, we can pretty much hit most of our population. And what we're looking at here clearly is just a regular cell phone, maybe a flip phone. Like my dad said, he wanted to get rid of his iPhone 7. I mean, what's a flip phone? I'm like, why? Because it's easier. So, and then the last thing, we do general outreach phone calls. And I think we shut down March 11th, somewhere around there, and started outreach phone calls that next day. And as I said earlier, we may have 120 or so people who have been signed up for our classes when we did shut down. And those people have been called 5 or 6 times so that we can continue to stay in touch with them and let them know what the options are.
All right. So the ways in which we are offering peer support online, we're doing a morning check-in on Facebook Live. That's with Bill and I. We get together and we go live on Facebook, and we have peers and members comment and interact with us. We do trivia. We do what is the national day today, and today's what? National Dog Day. And then we do Facebook Live classes. So that's where any of our facilitators and our peers can get on and facilitate a class, and our peers can comment and interact directly with the live Facebook. We also do YouTube Live classes, which is very similar to Facebook Live, and they live on those platforms after that as well, which is cool. We have Zoom classes, which can also be utilized through telephone, which is great. I'm sure some of you today are probably calling in from your phone. We do daily peer support check-ins and discussions, and then we do member outreach via phone, email, and we even do snail mail. We'll reach out and we'll send them a letter, we'll send them a care package, things like that.
So when we decided that we would have to put something virtual out class-wise for our members who were not able to come into the building over the past 5 or 6 months, we took our schedule, and like I said earlier, we had about 50 hours of classroom schedule time on our in-person schedule, and we pared that down to about 22 hours of online classes that are offered during the week. And in addition to those, if you look at the top bar there in that chart, we do a morning check-in, like Amanda said. We do that every day for the first thing, and then we also do a daily peer support group on Zoom at 2:45 every day, and that actually goes Monday through Sunday. It's 7 days a week. And that peer support group can last anywhere from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours sometimes. Just depends on how many people are there and what they want to talk about. You can see some of the other classes that we're offering online, and this is kind of a hit and miss. It was a learning experience for us. It was quite a learning curve too. It was a very, very steep curve. But you'll see some of the classes that we're able to offer online, and again, from 50 classes in the building down to 22 online. Now, over the last few weeks, we've been able to get people in the building more often. Like I said, we're up to 4 days a week now. So we actually have an in-person schedule in addition to the online schedule, and they're not mutually exclusive. People can do the online schedule and the in-person schedule, whatever works for them. One nice thing about the online, and I noticed this when you guys were checking in, I saw people from Alaska, someone from Winnipeg, Manitoba, a lot from Texas. I'm from Texas, literally all over the country. For people who want to participate online, they are all part of our community no matter where they are. Everyone is invited, everyone is welcome. And we can't do that in the building because of our funding, but online we're able to reach anybody at any time.
Yeah, I think we had people attend a class from Georgia.
Yes,
like
we do actually. Yeah, we do. Yeah. So one of the things that we tried to do when we put together the online schedule, we tried to reach out to the media and see if we could get some help getting our message out. And we were pretty successful doing that. We got 2 spots on 2 different channels, and they both highlighted the online peer support and the online classes.
So this is kind of like a little wrap up of everything that we've been doing thus far since the pandemic.
To stay at home can be especially challenging for people who struggle with mental health. Local 12's Clancy Burke is live this morning with a resource you can access in your living room. which I'm guessing that's where Clancy is again. Hi, Clancy.
You have guessed right, Sheila. Because of the Recovery Center of Hamilton County, you do not have to go far to get help. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to leave your couch as long as you have one of these things. The Recovery Center of Hamilton County is now taking their classes and offering them online. So usually they offer about 50 hours of classes a week, but now they're offering about 35 hours all through your computer. You just need either Facebook Live or Zoom, and you can access these classes. And they cover a variety of topics from how to fight anxiety during this time to how to cope with everything we're dealing with, how to be mindful. It's really neat, especially the fact that every single team member has dealt with this in the past. They all have an experience with mental health, so it is creating this community, and that is the number one thing they are offering during this time, which many of us don't have: community. Take a listen.
For those of us with an illness, we really just tend to hibernate in times like these. And we can't do that. We've got to figure out how to still be a part of the community.
And especially with these Zoom meetings, with these video chats, it can be intimidating. But I spoke with one of the program directors. He said you don't have to necessarily talk. You don't even have to participate. For the first few times, you could just sit in and listen. For now, reporting live, Clancy Burke, Local 12 News.
All right, Clancy, we posted a link to that meeting schedule for you at Local12.
That's kind of what we've been doing online. Just a little bit of a short explanation of everything that's been going on and then how.
Can't hear you, Amanda.
Sorry, I forget I have to lean in. So that's everything that we're kind of doing online, and just a little summation of everything. And we go here, click over. All right, so I wanted to go into why there are so many different platforms we are utilizing during this time.
This is really pretty simple. We're trying to find more ways to connect. We're trying to meet people where they are, and they don't all have the same technology. So we're trying to offer different avenues to people who struggle with technology, and we're also trying to drive more traffic to our organization through different mediums. And one of the things we will hit on very briefly is some of the numbers that we've seen on the different platforms and the increase in participation and engagement.
All right, so I wanted to go into the specific benefits of each of the platforms that we use. For starting out, we will do what are the benefits of Facebook. We were going to exclusively do Zoom starting out just because they were more personal, but we wanted to kind of extend it to all platforms because not everybody uses Zoom, not everybody uses Facebook, not everybody uses YouTube, and those are going to be the three that we focus on mainly today. So the benefits of Facebook are users can connect in chat room-like functions with their personal pages. Move this over here. I can read better. Okay. So that's really cool because if you are watching a Facebook Live and you're interacting with a Facebook Live, you can comment directly, and the person who is on the Facebook Live can reply to anything that the peer says in the comments, like, yeah, I've been really struggling lately. How have you been dealing? And the person who is going live can respond and say thanks for that. This is how I cope, and this is how I deal. So they have direct interaction from their own Facebook page to the recovery centers or your own personal Facebook page.
One of the things about Facebook that we found when we talked to people kind of exit interviews is that we didn't know who all was watching, because you can be incognito and not, if you don't chat us or say hi to us, we don't know that you're there. So you'll hear from some of the people that we're working with now who say, you know what, I was there for weeks or months before you guys even knew I was there, before I was ready to interact.
Yeah, so that's a really cool benefit of Facebook as well, is that people can watch and they can start to feel comfortable and they can learn more about the facilitator, or they can still get all of the benefits and don't have to directly interact with it. They can put it on in the background while they're cooking and still learn information. So it's just a really good benefit of Facebook. You can also start watch parties with other peers. This is a really cool function. You can invite your other Facebook friends to come and watch the specific video that you're interested in. So if Brian is doing an Attitudes of Gratitude on Facebook Live, one of our peers can invite 3 of their friends, like, hey, come watch this Attitudes of Gratitude and we can talk about it in the comments. So people can interact with each other or with the facilitator all in the comments, and it's a really fun thing. The video is accessible on Facebook until it is deleted. So it lives on the platform for forever until your personal Facebook page is deleted or until you delete the video. This is a cool feature because you can start playlists posts, and you can upload specific thumbnails. So this is a great way to kind of organize your Facebook page to fit the needs of your peers. We have a bunch of different classes that we have organized in a playlist. So if you click our videos tab, you can see, you know, each class in order of which they were uploaded, which can be really helpful in terms of organization. Each staff can have their own business page to share their own class content and connect with peers in their own way. 3 of our facilitators specifically do this. We have Mary, who likes to do DBT skills, and she's very art oriented, so she likes to post mindfulness journal prompts every morning. And then we have David, who's really good at, you know, talking about self-confidence and assertiveness and communication, and he'll post fun graphics and things like that on his page. And then we have Maria, who does a cooking feature every Friday. So she does a cooking class, and she's a registered dietitian, so everything that she does is extremely healthy. And so that's just really helpful for our peers to kind of gain access to the things in which they are really interested in. So if someone's interested more in, you know, getting help for their mental health or their mindfulness, they can follow and like Mary and interact with all of her stuff, or with David if they're interested in, you know, getting more grounded and being more connected to themselves and others, or Maria if they're worried about their health. So that's a really cool thing that we like to do as well. That could definitely be beneficial in the future for anyone who may think that that's a benefit for them. Facebook groups can be utilized for peers to connect to one another. This one is also a really, really great benefit, because you can have peers not only connect with you in your organization, but also with each other as peers. That's the biggest thing that we do here. And that's the biggest thing that people come in for, is that sense of camaraderie. It's that sense of community. It's the sense of empathy that you get from just talking to another person. It's the interaction. It's the social aspect. So taking that and having it online as well is super beneficial, because with these groups, you can monitor posts just in case. You can set group rules. You can have people interact. I know on our group page, we've had people, you know, post knitting that they've done, or videos that cheer them up, or, hey, I'm having a really rough day, here's a fun song that lifts me up when I'm feeling down. And then just to see the peers outpouring with support after that is just wonderful to see. And it's a really good resource for them to utilize to get connected to each other, because, you know, maybe they don't have each other's phone numbers, maybe the only time they connect is in the building. So it's a really great just extra resource for them to utilize. And then we have, what are the benefits of YouTube? So YouTube and Facebook are similar, but they are also very different. Whereas Facebook is a kind of social media platform, YouTube is more of a video-oriented platform. So the benefits of YouTube are, YouTube is accessible by anyone. You don't necessarily even need an account to watch YouTube videos, to get on YouTube and interact. You do need an account to comment and save videos and things like that, but most of the time, our members don't have an account, and they just get on to watch our yoga videos or our journaling videos or anything that they really need to consume at that time. And that's a really good benefit, because with Facebook, you can watch these things without an account. However, it's not as user-friendly as YouTube.
One nice thing about YouTube and Facebook as well is we're able to see the data on who's utilizing the resources, and so we can kind of tailor what's working and maybe pair out what's not.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We also do that as well, because some things are served better on Facebook and some things are served better on YouTube. Like our yoga, we tried to do on both Facebook and YouTube, and it fared much better on YouTube than Facebook, because people can come back to it and access it more easily. And it just served better on the YouTube platform. You can also interact in chat room like functions when you do sign up with a YouTube account. So if you do go live on YouTube, there is a chat room, or like a chat like function that you can have when anybody goes live, that people can interact with each other and the specific facilitator. You can also, this is my favorite feature of YouTube, which I really want everybody to kind of play with and see, is that you can premiere videos previously recorded on YouTube as if they were live. So that's a really great feature of YouTube. You can premiere videos. So what that means is, you know, maybe one of your peers who are facilitating or providing support can't be in that day, or they have a doctor's appointment or something. They can record their class previously, and then you can have somebody premiere it on the day in which the class was supposed to be. And then the chat room function still comes up. People can still interact, and you can have another facilitator answer any questions. It's not as interactive, obviously, because the premiere, you can't, you know, say, oh, Carl said this, but it's still a really great function to get that interaction, just in case time is an issue. Content lives on the platform and is easily accessible after posting. That is a great benefit of YouTube as well as Facebook is. These videos will live on the internet pretty much forever until you delete them again. So peers have access to this content whenever they need it. You know, maybe they're having a really rough day and they're like, man, what did Mary say in that class the other day that it really spoke to me? You know, they can go back on YouTube, they can look at that, they can access that content, they can re-listen to it, and they can gain just more information as going back to it. And then obviously what we are using now is Zoom. So there are many benefits to Zoom that are completely different than both Facebook Live and YouTube Live, or Facebook and YouTube in general. More privacy and interaction between peers, including the ability to do one-offs. So the really great thing about Zoom is you do have that sense of privacy. You can have, you know, group sessions, you can have group peer support sessions, you can have that kind of camaraderie with everybody. You don't need to use video if you don't want to. People can just watch if they want. You can join by phone, anything like that. And if you have the ability, you know, somebody's struggling really hard and you want to put them in their own room, I know we did this when we were training for facilitation, is that you can, you know, do little group rooms and have people, you know, go out and do their own thing in separate rooms, which is really cool. You can have the ability to do one-on-ones aside from a group, and that's something that's really cool on Zoom. But I'm pretty sure you can only do it with the advanced plans and not the basic plan, unfortunately. So it just depends on what you have access to at the time.
And just for your information, the state of Ohio
Bill, we can't hear you.
The state of Ohio is now using Zoom as their platform for certified peer support.
Bill, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'll just continue. He was going to say that the state of Ohio is using Zoom for their trainings. So it's something that, you know, we've had to become friendly with and we've had to get integrated with. You can also screen share, which is what we're doing now, obviously. And you can play fun games such as Jeopardy and share specific class content. Maybe you want to share a TED Talk. We do Jeopardy every Wednesday. We're actually missing it right now to do this presentation, but it's a really fun thing that we do with our peers just to have a little bit of fun, so we don't always have to talk about heavy stuff, and we can get them interacted and just to test their knowledge and see what they know. You can also, which is a really great feature of Zoom, you can broadcast meetings to both Facebook and YouTube Live if you want to. So maybe you have an interview you want to showcase live on your Facebook or on your YouTube. You have the ability to do that through Zoom, and you can broadcast to both Facebook and YouTube Live. We did this. We had a series with Bill and our executive director, Chris. When sports weren't around anymore, they did a series called Sports, Shorts, and More, where they just sat down and they talked about sports and what they missed about it and history of it, and, you know, great times in sports. And we were able to interview local sports celebrities and cast it live to our YouTube page, and it was just a really cool experience. So that's a little feature on Zoom that not a lot of people know about that I think it's important to definitely take advantage of.
So we've been learning this for 5 or 6 months now, and I think it's really important to share with you guys some of what our members are saying and how the online and the virtual support has affected them and been able to help them during this time. Yeah.
And also there is both YouTube and Facebook can increase your social media reach and engagements. So that's a really great thing, as well as when you're doing all of these things online and you're doing the YouTube and you're doing the Facebook, it does bring more people and more attention to your page. So you can also grow as a community as well for when this new normal is hopefully over. Maybe new people would come in just based upon what you guys are doing online or how you're providing peer support to each other. And so this is what our members have to say.
It's good. Okay.
All right. So, Linda, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it. And you've been participating in our online community for a few months now, I think. So
it's probably been about 6 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's fantastic.
That's exciting.
what has it meant to you to be able to have the virtual platform that you have?
It's meant a lot. I went from going to work every day, taking care of my kids, taking care of my grandkids, getting out and doing everything everybody else does all the time, to March of 2019, went to the hospital with stomach aches, and I thought it was just, like an ulcer or, gallbladder problems, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So that kind of was like a shock, right? Because I've always been in control of everything in my life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I had no control. And I don't want to get all worked up about it, but luckily I had my family. I mean, they were like right there. I mean, I had them to depend on. Well, come a year later, going through treatment and everything, kind of got back a little back to normal. My doctor, who is awesome, said, I don't want you to stop your life because of this. I want you to keep going. Well, it's easy to say that, but when you don't go back to work and you don't go back to your regular routine and you feel awful every other week when you get treatment, you don't go back to normal life. So what I tried to do is kind of get a new normal, and having you there, it's something I can look forward to. I don't have my work family anymore, even though I keep in touch with all my work family. You guys are my new family.
Linda, you're gonna make me cry.
Yep.
Sorry. So anyway, I get my coffee, I look at the clock, I think, okay, I'm gonna watch the first 15 minutes of Kelly and Ryan, and then it's like morning meeting time. And sometimes they'll talk about what the national day is. So I kind of get the head up on Bill because they'll talk about it. So I'm like, oh, I know what Bill's gonna talk about. You're not there, then I kind of say happy whatever day because I hear from them. But no, and then, I got involved in some of Mary's classes with art, Brian's with attitudes of gratitude, and of course cooking with Maria, because when I first started getting treatment, I couldn't eat anything, and it was really hard. And now I'm trying to get on a healthy routine and eat what's right for me. So that really helps. And then I was doing the online, weight management and talking to some of the other, I feel like I've met so many people, even though I've never physically met them. I feel like I know a lot of these people because of like the Zoom or the Facebook Lives or whatever. So basically, like I said, I always had control. When I lost control and my doctor said, get back to normal, I had to make up a new normal because like I said, I'm on disability now. I never worked full-time because I was always a full-time mom. But I worked part-time, and I look forward to that. And then I can come home and make dinner. And I was the one in my extended family to always be the one to keep the family together and do all the holidays, do the birthday parties. Couldn't do that for over a year. And now I'm back to doing that again. So, I mean, even with COVID, I still can keep in touch with my kids who are working at home. I have a son who's a college professor who works from home, so I can see him. I have a daughter who's a high school teacher who's doing virtual. Her husband works for P&G, so he's working at home. So it's nice, so I can still see family even though, I'm away. Because that's another thing. My immune system is so low.
Yeah.
I can't go out and do a lot of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I look forward to doing Kroger Click List and picking up my groceries now. That's my outing, besides the doctor's office,
And do you feel like,
I feel like
Do you feel like with this connection with people over the internet or virtually, do you think that it feels different for you in terms of like the connection that you make with people?
It did at first, and now it doesn't. Now it almost feels like, I know this sounds really weird, but I almost feel like you guys are like two of my good friends. I mean, and I look forward to like hearing about like, you know, what you guys are doing on the weekend or moving in your new apartment or, you know, I mean, it's something that I feel like was kind of weird. Like I almost felt like I was a voyeur, like I'm watching all these things going on because I never did a Zoom in my life.
Yeah.
I downloaded Zoom so I could participate, you know, and then really the thing that really kind of got me into it, because that's all I did was do morning meetings. And then when you did the wellness symposium, that was like, even on my husband's day off, he's off on Thursdays and Saturdays. When he was off on Thursday, I was like, leave me alone. I got to plan the whole day, go golfing, go do something. I've got things going on. So it's like, it was like really, that was so good for me. Yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not weird anymore. And it was at first, but now I almost feel like, you know, and even when we played Jeopardy and it was Ask the RC, I know some of those people now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's been a really good and cathartic experience, and I just can't even thank you guys enough. I mean, it's really, because otherwise, what are you doing all day? I'm, you know, I like a clean house, but you can only clean for so long, you know, and I see every rerun of every Office and Parks and Recs and all those other shows we watch. You know, that now I turn the TV off. It's like, once I watch my morning news and then you guys come on, then I think, okay, what's going on today? What am I gonna, you know, am I gonna participate in? And then I kind of do stuff around the house. And then I mean, I set my phone alarm. So like if something's on, it goes off and I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes. Let me get my water that I'm supposed to be drinking and let me get all set. Let me go to the bathroom so I'm all ready to go. But you know, that's what people need. People need something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I used to tell my kids that, you know, when they're kind of bummed and out of it and, you know, things just don't seem like they're going, I'm like, plan something that you can look forward to, because that's what keeps you going, you know, and this is what keeps me going now, you know. So, I mean,
and
it's
Linda,
just been.
If you had to say something to somebody who is like nervous about getting involved in online stuff, what would you say to them?
I would say just watch at first. Just watch. Don't even, you know, like I watched morning meeting before you even knew I was watching morning meeting. Because I was too afraid to say hi, because you would probably, I was thinking, you know, everybody always worries about what people think.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, they're going to look at my name if I say morning, like, who's that? You know? And then finally I thought, well, I've been watching you guys enough. I'm going to say hi so you know I'm here. And now it's like, I don't know. I don't even think about it. So yeah, I think I would tell somebody, just watch and kind of get to know, because you guys, I mean, you're like my Kelly and Ryan, you know? Like I feel like I almost know them and I know you guys now. But I think that you just get comfortable. It just takes time, you know, and participate. Like the first time I did Zoom, I didn't show my face. I just wanted to watch. I blocked, you know, it was a black screen with my name, and I just watched it. And then all of a sudden I just start feeling more comfortable. And then I saw how other people said stuff that, you know, like a lot of times I would think, I don't want to say anything because I'll sound stupid, you know, but I'm like, I think the one thing that you guys said is there's no judgment here. And that's what makes you feel good, because everybody has something in their life that's an issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you feel like people around you have their own issues and they're not judging you and you're not judging them, you feel comfortable. I just feel very comfortable with everybody. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Linda, I can't speak for Amanda, but I feel the same way you do, that we're friends and I can't
Yeah.
wait to meet you. And I think it's really cool because you've become part of my life. All of you have. And I Amanda can tell you this. I really look forward to seeing you every day. And it's been really good for me too.
Yeah. Well, if you guys always bring a smile to my face, and I feel like kind of like Bill, it's like when the weekends come, I'm like, it's 10:15, you know? Sounds like, yeah.
I think it's really interesting too in terms of technology and what it can do for connection. Is I grew up inside of the digital age, right? So like I know the amount of connection. I grew up inside AOL chat rooms and AIM, and so I know, and like MySpace and bulletin boards. So like I know the way that technology can connect people and how amazing it can be, especially for people who have social anxiety or people who struggle with getting out of the house. Because I was there for a very long time where I couldn't leave my house and my anxiety was too bad and I couldn't go out and live my life and be a normal kid. So I utilized technology. So I think it's really interesting. And I'm always trying to advocate for it with the older generation as well. Like, just get involved, just download it, just join us. Like, you'll see the benefits of it. Like, you'll know as soon as you get there. Like, it's a different way to interact with people.
Jumped on then, you know, but I mean, now my mom, who's almost 80, she's like on Instagram and Facebook, and you know, she's commenting all the time, and, you know, so it's like, and that's cool too, because now it's like I can send pictures to her, and you know, I can post stuff, you know, the grandkids, and she can see them, and you know, so yeah, it's definitely a benefit, especially now during the pandemic more than ever. Yeah, because I think that I would probably be in a deep depression if I couldn't connect with people.
Yeah.
Just, you know, because like I said, just going through treatment and everything, and you know, I'm not in my normal routine, but this is my new normal now. I've gone through 66 weeks of treatment now.
Wow.
But you know what? Everybody gets dealt something in life, and I've been lucky, and I feel blessed for everything I have, and you included. I mean, you're a part of the puzzle that's keeping me and so many other people going, you know. I mean, it's just been wonderful.
Really great way to express that. Thank you. I really like the way you said that. You're just a little piece of the puzzle, keeps everybody going. And I love that very much.
We really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us. Do you have any other questions?
No, I want to say thank you so much. And Linda, you know, I tell people I would never do anything else for a living, and you're the reason why, because of stories like this and because of the impact that we make. It means everything to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a great thing you guys are doing, and I'm glad I found you.
We want to thank Linda. We want to thank Linda very much for allowing us to show that video. My favorite fact about the video, and I think I've told Amanda this, is that Linda was not a member. She had not been to the building. She found us online, and now she has this relationship with our community. And I really like that because, you know, like we said, you guys are scattered all over the country. We can have people join us from absolutely anywhere. A couple of the other things that our members have said, we've heard this quite a lot. You made such a difference to me. I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for the reach out phone calls you've been doing. I'm happy to find people who really relate to me about the world right now. I feel less alone. And these daily check-ins make my whole day. It gives me something to look forward to. We talked about routine and how important that is, and to be a part of someone's routine and something that they can look forward to is very, very powerful. And we're very glad to be able to bring that opportunity. This is our contact information. You guys are welcome to reach out to us anytime. One thing that I love about this industry more than the private sector is that we all like to share things. If something is working for me, I am absolutely happy to share it with you. And I appreciate that from you all as well. So you're welcome to call us, send us an email, or find us online anytime that you'd like to.
All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me because I leaned in. I think it's the camera trying to chase our faces. So we'll now open the floor to questions for you guys if anybody has any questions.
Amanda, I kept track of some of the themes and that came up, and one that came up a lot was about confidentiality, privacy, HIPAA.
Yeah. So the way that we have kind of navigated around privacy is we have different kinds of things for each platform. So we give people notice when they do Facebook or when they do YouTube, like this is a social media site, this is a video oriented site. Anything that you share is on the internet and available for anybody to see whenever. And a lot of people who are on Facebook or YouTube are already kind of aware of that, so they're okay with those things. And then with Zoom, we definitely keep to confidentiality. What's said in group stays in group, and that's across the board for any of the Zoom classes that we have. We really try to model the Zoom classes off of what we actually do in person, so we do keep confidentiality crucial in those Zooms. But people are aware when they do the social media and those things that, you know, it is open for anybody to see because it is social media.
Somebody asked in the chat box, what are some of the problems that you run into with the different platforms? You want to touch on that?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I think that's a really great question. Thank you to whoever asked that question. Each one does have its difficulties. I think technology in general is a difficulty, especially working with the older population. But I think with Facebook, a lot of people maybe don't want to have a Facebook page. They don't know how to search on Facebook. They don't know how to find your Facebook page. So what we try to do to combat that, and in YouTube, like they don't know how to find our YouTube page. They don't know how to access videos, things like that. That's the most that we run into in terms of issues is, you know, just technology lacking and also, you know, people just not knowing. And so we do our best to walk people through it. We try to make it as easy as possible. So when we have our website, we make sure that we have our Facebook, our YouTube, our Zoom links all right there, all open, all on the home page with a step-by-step kind of how to do Zoom and just buttons that you can just press that clearly show where you can get access to these things and how you get involved with these things. We've sent out mailers, we've sent out emails with step-by-step instructions on how to do everything. So those are definitely the barriers that we run into. And also us as facilitators and as peers ourselves, sometimes technology fails us too, and sometimes getting involved in technology is hard for us too. So just everybody being patient with each other is so important, and just doing your best to be patient and walking people through as much as you can. I've spent hours on the phone with some of our peers and some of our members, just walking them through how to do things and pulling it up on my computer and giving them like a step-by-step of how to do it on theirs. And so it's just all about patience and, you know, working with the peer.
Thank you, Amanda. Another question that came up often was, have you dealt with people that had fear or distrust, like of the internet, and how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, we've definitely dealt with that a lot. And that was one of the barriers that we ran into kind of right away, because I was like trying to get people involved. I was like, come to Facebook, come to YouTube, come to Zoom. So the way that we kind of worked around that is Zoom's phone call option. That's something that we've utilized a lot in terms of that barrier, because they do have distrust of the internet and they don't want to use it. They don't want to download an app on their phone. Some people don't even have smartphones. They only maybe have their home phone, or they maybe only have a flip phone. So what I like to do is print out all the Zoom phone numbers for each meeting and a schedule, so individuals can get involved in the Zoom meetings that we do offer over the phone. And that's kind of what we do. We also do reach out phone calls as well. We do one-on-ones. So we do reach out to the people who aren't showing up online, and we're like, hey, you know, how have you been doing lately? Is everything okay? Like we do check-ins with our peers who aren't likely to get online, just to make sure we're still keeping that camaraderie and we're still keeping that connection going. Linda's testimony, I see a question there about mental health or substance use. She actually was struggling with cancer. And so through her struggle with cancer, we wanted to share that perspective because it's a different perspective than we normally see. We do mostly mental health issues here at the Recovery Center. We do a little bit of SUD as well, but we see more mental health than anything. We just wanted to show a different side that, you know, going through a hard time, especially in the middle of a pandemic and when dealing with cancer, can lead to all of these things, and we can still help kind of as peers and as all of us, we can still help every kind of avenue and every crevice and every, you know, pocket of need that there is.
Thanks, Amanda. Another question that came up a lot was about billing. And it's very different if you're in a peer-run organization versus you work in a clinical organization that bills through insurance and whatnot. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So we do not bill Medicaid for our services. We're not clinical in any respect. It's all peer support. And to this point, we have decided not to bill for Medicaid.
And one thing about that, for those of you that do work in a more clinical background where you have to have billing codes or whatever for your time, one of our roles in peer support is supporting people to connect in the community. And even though you might not be able to provide this exact service, you can get people connected to peer-run organizations in their community where they can get this. And sometimes about peer support is about knowing what our limitations are and being able to connect to people to something else if that would be helpful.
A lot of you have asked about funding and grants. We have applied for a couple here and there, but to my knowledge, we haven't received any money to fund the online piece. We've just been taking that out of our budget, kind of shifting some money around because we weren't providing the in-house curriculum, so we were able to shift some dollars there.
Have you found ways to support people that didn't have a laptop or a smartphone?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where the reach out phone calls have come from, and just letting them know that, hey, you can get involved on the Zoom by calling because it is like a conference call. And even some people are very adverse to doing even that. And so we just make sure that we continuously call the members that we maybe haven't heard from or haven't seen from in a while, and we make sure to keep that connection growing and just reach out and call. We actually specifically have a staff person in the building who does that, who is the resource specialist to connect peers to any kinds of things that have slipped through the cracks while we have been going and dealing with this pandemic, because I know a lot of them haven't been able to connect to clinical services as much as they would like to. So we just make sure that we keep that line of communication open just by giving them a phone call, or we've even sent out care packages with things that our members like a lot, like maybe some Reese's and some books and things like that. So we definitely are sure to keep the lines of communication open because there are always going to be people who are adverse to joining and being a part of it. And that's just kind of a part of life that we have to adapt around and work towards. Our organization is funded by the mental health board that we have. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So our funding actually comes from the mental health levy that's on the Hamilton County voter ballot every few years. That's where our funding comes from. Someone asked, are there liability issues for your organization related to providing this service? And if so, how have you addressed these? You know, we haven't really identified any outstanding liability issues. What we've tried to do is keep in close contact with our board of directors and the board of our the Hamilton County Recovery Health and Services Board. I just botched that, sorry. And made sure that everybody was on board with what we were doing and how we were delivering it.
I also want to mention that me, Chris, and Bill all got together as well with approval from the board, and we came up with specific guidelines that facilitators and peers should all follow in conjunction with doing these online services. So we have a list of guidelines and we have a list of rules and regulations to deal with anything, if anything were to come up. We have not had any issues like that, knock on wood, hopefully we won't, but we do have things in place for if they do. Yes, the recording will be available. I know Martha said that it would be available on the INAPS website. Someone said they're confused about if they don't bill. Do you want to talk about that?
I'm not sure.
Because if we don't bill
Right. So what, I'm not sure what the question is. Where yeah, we talked a little bit about the funding. It comes from the mental health levy that's on the ballot every few years. That's where our funding comes from.
Most peer-run centers are either funded from like block grants from the state or the county, or, you know, as in this case, you know, a tax levy. There's also private grants, but it's usually not through billing insurance of any type.
Martha, do you see anything else that comes up repeatedly?
I think we saw most of them, so if anyone else has a question, definitely put it in there now.
Yeah, sorry about the little font. It is recoverycenterhc.org and info@recoverycenterhc.org if you want to email us.
Good question. Thank you, Anna, for raising your hand. We will get there in just 1 second.
Do you want to ask the question? Sorry, I was making sure you were unmuted.
Anna?
Okay, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, I was wondering, so when providing online services, because we're virtual only at our RCO, we're a recovery RCO, and I'm not sure if you have recovery services there or if it's strictly for mental health peers, but which would be a great question because I saw that a couple of times to answer. But also, when providing online services, how do you get consent from the new clients that are coming in this virtual only setting?
Or consent for which piece, Anna?
Well, I know when we enroll clients, when we do an intake, or even if it's a brief intake, if there's, we usually ask for an emergency contact kind of thing, and we need to get consent from the peer in our circle to, you know, in case we need to contact somebody on their behalf, or just consent for services and making them aware that while we're not a reporting agency, we do, you know, there are certain things that we do report, even though, you know, because we're peers, there's a lot we don't, but, you know, there's, when it comes to child endangerment or something to that effect.
Sure.
We do.
Yeah, and I think your process is much like ours. When we bring someone in or when someone comes in, we ask them to fill out some cursory paperwork, and part of that is their emergency contact info. But we don't even ask for a diagnosis. Someone asked about if we're working on the SUD side or the mental health side, and our charter is to help people who are in recovery from mental illness. But we also tangentially, as you can imagine, touch a lot of people who have either substance use disorder or have struggled with that in the past, because there's so much comorbidity between the SUD side and the mental health side.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, I'm with Families Forward Wraparound Program in San Diego, and we have about 60 staff members who work with families. It's youth, it's a children's program, but we work with the entire family. I think you guys could be an amazing resource for our families. I want to know, how do my staff connect with you to get their clients involved? That makes sense? Did I say that?
Yeah, of course, Susan. Thank you so much. Yeah, and if you want to learn more about everything that the Recovery Center has to offer, you can go to recoverycenterhc.org. And if you do want to get connected specifically, you can just, for online, normally what we do is, I know some people in the chat have been talking about this. Normally we do verbal consent when doing our online, because most of the people who come online are have been our members in person. But if we're taking in new people, normally we do have verbal consent, like, just to let you know, these are the rules and regulations.
Right.
Do you approve? Yes. So if you would like to get involved, you can always just come and join any of our Zoom classes whenever you'd like. And if you want to specifically talk to Bill or I, you can contact us at the phone number that's on the page, and I'll put it in the chat as well. And we can kind of talk and carve out a little bit more of what you're looking for and what you'd like.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Susan. All right, let me put the phone number in.
Someone asked about contacting you about the liability policy. Can they just email the info at?
Yeah, just email the info at recoverycenterhc.org, and we can connect on that. Let me look at any other questions here.
Do you use apps for smartphones?
That's what I was going to mention. A couple of you have asked that, apps for smartphones. We use one app. It's called Not Okay, and it's an app where you install it and you pick 4 or 5 people from your contacts who you talk to and ask, if can I put you in my app here? And the purpose of the app is when someone's not doing well. I know for me, it's really hard to reach out to people. Sometimes I don't have the words I need. Sometimes I just don't want to reach out at all. And the app is pretty neat in that all I have to do is open it up and hit the I'm not okay button, and a message goes out to my contacts, and then they can reach out to me. But if you guys are using other apps, I would love to hear about that.
Yeah. There's also like a ton of mindfulness and meditation and things like that I utilize and that I offer to peers if they would like to use it. There's one that I like specifically, which I'll put in the chat as well. It's called Rooted, ROOTD. And the really cool thing about that is if you're having a crisis or a panic attack, it'll help walk you through it with like verbal prompts, or you can read them, and it'll help kind of like walk you through the panic attack. Like, it'll say no one has ever died of a panic attack before, and it'll say really encouraging words, and it really helps me a lot as well. And the cool thing is once you've like calmed down and you've read all the prompts, it gives you a trophy, and you get cool little stickers and things for just getting through. And they have breathing exercises and visualization tools, and it's just a really cool, cute little app. Let me look. I saw a question up here about somebody wanting to get involved. Let me see. Okay, how do us older peers learn to do these programs? That is definitely something that I have run into a lot, especially working when we serve an older population. The best thing that I can really recommend is just to dive in and find somebody that is, well-versed in the app and well-versed in the social media or whatever platform that you're using, and really lean on them for guidance, because sometimes some of these things you just have to, learn through and mess with and fumble across, because Zoom was completely new to me when this all started, and I'm still learning new things about Zoom every day. And so just find somebody that you can kind of lean on or lean into that will really help you with these things. I think that's the most important part, because I know people are in my office all the time, like, can you help me with this? Can you help me open YouTube? Can you help me do this? And I'm always there to help them. And I've had to walk one of our members through it at least, I think, 6 times now. And it's fine, because, they're getting it at their own pace, and you just really have to throw yourself into it, and really just don't be afraid to mess up, and don't be afraid to learn new things.
We also have done a couple of technology classes, both online and in person, for how to use the smartphone, how to connect to Zoom, how to use the apps. And that's something I'm going to ask Amanda, if those are on our YouTube page, you guys are absolutely welcome to share those tutorials.
Can you put your YouTube page in the chat?
Yeah, I will. Okay, that's gonna. Let me look at these other questions. Yeah, I'll do that. Let me type in the app too.
Just while she's doing that, I'll put in, there is a certification now for digital peer support. If you go to digitalpeersupport.org, you can find out information about that. It's an application that was developed out of, I believe, Dartmouth. But they've tested a lot. They've actually done a lot of webinars on it as well, where they connect to people, sometimes in person, but also in between in-person visits using an app.
And also, thank you guys for sharing all these really great apps in the chat. I'm definitely looking at these and going to try some of those out as well.
we just learned something new about our technology. Martha, did you see anything else that came up?
Just this last question about if you are linked to mental health professionals. I don't know what the core factors are, but
we're not linked clinically with mental health professionals, but we do a lot of work with case managers and therapists. We do share a lot of information if we get the consent forms from our members, because the mental health professionals are starting to see that there is great value in adding peer support as a wraparound service. So we're getting good support there.
So we have about 10 minutes left. Somebody had raised their hand. I don't know. Anna, did you have your hand up still?
Yeah, she asked a question already.
Okay. All right.
Could I just ask you a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was just with that last question asking about the mental health support. I've found it to be a really powerful segue into supporting people. It's great to be able to provide platforms and link people into services, but I think for me, it's the addressing those core issues when clients are ready or peers are ready to be able to sort of go to those places. That's why I did ask that question about, are you linked into different platforms that do provide that support, extra support for the peers, because we've found that to be quite effective in that mental health, moving forward with that mental health and associated addictions as well.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely agree with that as well, because I know with me and my mental health struggle, trauma is a huge part of that. And I know that, just navigating in these classes and things, sometimes things can trigger people, sometimes they need additional resources. So we actually hired on somebody who is specifically a resource specialist for anybody who is struggling really hard, and she does the reach out phone calls as well. So if anybody needs any additional support to clinical resources or case management or things like that, we are connected to services, and we have like lists and people that we can contact if anybody needs any additional services or help.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda and Bill. I think that was a great presentation, and I think we all believe that what we've had to do during the pandemic with restrictions isn't all going to go away. I think some of the things you mentioned, like having a further reach, you're not just restricted to who can physically get to you or even who is in your catchment. I know in a group I do online, I've had people from Singapore, things like that. So I really thank you for that. And I think, as peer support, we are positioned to respond to people in this, and we're creative and innovative because that's how we've gotten this far.
Yep.
So, Martha, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I am going to share my screen now.